up next, last but not least, Larry Pesce, Darren Wigley. These guys have built the badge systems. Now this is the third year in a row. You heard Brad mention a little bit about the badges last year, the Arduino boards based on Zigbee. Last year's theme was smart grid security, and so those were in play. And you'll hear about the system in play this year. So Larry and Darren.
Casey, is there another cordless mic? Yeah, we've got one.
Probably. That one, I'll stay here.
Oh, you're gonna stay there? Okay.
I'll stay here.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
I'll run this.
Ooh, 30.
Presentation mode. Okay. It's not on, I don't think. On. It is now.
On. Going once. There we go. All right. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
All right. So my name's Larry Pesce, and this is Darren Wigley, and we're going to tell you all about the badges and all that good stuff this year. We had lots of fun doing this. So we entitled this presentation, Medic! Just because we could, and you know, we're silly and we like irreverent humor and, well, remind us of video games and that type of stuff. But first off, the only thing we like more than dispensing pills is taking them. This is not an advocation of taking drugs, just we like taking pills, and you'll see why, okay? And it wouldn't be sort of a greater Beltway presentation without mentioning APT, right? But in this case, it's advanced pill taking, right? Okay, so, you know, humor, come on, you know, work with me, work with me. All right, so a little bit about us. As Casey mentioned, we have built the badges for Mid-Atlantic CCDC for the last 3 years. This is our third year? Yeah, this is the third year. You lose track of time really fast. So I'm Larry. I consider myself a gray hat, and most of that is just because let's get the mess out of the way. When we do security research, there are often times in which my ethics may differ from yours, and that may mean that in your case, you may consider me a black hat, and I still think that I'm well within my ethical rights based on what I'm doing, and I can still consider myself a white hat. So let's just break it all down and meet in the middle and call myself a black hat.
Gray hat.
Gray hat. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Gray,
Come on, you
gray, right. It's not about the color of the hat, it's the color of the lab coat, right? Okay.
My name is Darren. Rasmus21 on Twitter, but I like to tinker, so I like taking problems like this. Casey gives us what the theme of CCDC is this year and what his list of requirements that he would like to see, and then we work together to come up with a plan and then put it all together.
And without us together, just not enough hours in the day to make it happen. So Darren and I are also good friends. We've been friends from college, oh God, how many years ago? Let's not even go there because we're going to date ourselves. We are now co-workers at NWN with their NProtect group. We do penetration testing, vulnerability assessment, a little bit of all that type of stuff for a living, and co-conspirators on various projects. The picture here is of the Shmooball launcher that ended the Shmooball at ShmooCon, not last year, the year before. Based on this design and this launcher, we shot Bruce Potter, the founder of ShmooCon, with it from the back of the room and left a Shmooball-size welt on him.
There's no longer a Shmoooball.
There are no longer Shmooballs because of this. There were too many insurance issues that we caused. We are also co-hosts with Paul and John and Carlos and Jack at Paul.com Security Weekly. We're giving a podcast here live Thursday night, 7 p.m. So we'll have fun with that. And Darren and I are also the co-hosts of Hack Naked at Night. Hack Naked at Night is one of the taglines for the Paul.com Security Weekly empire. And we do a video show where we do all sorts of hardware hacking and computer security stuff, and we have lots of fun and burn ourselves with soldering irons. All right, so let's talk about some of the things that we had for some early concepts. So based on the fact that Darren and I are really good friends and we spend a lot of time working together, we spend a lot of time in the car talking about this type of stuff. In as many months, this is our third trip past New Jersey in the car. Southern New Jersey is 5 hours, so in the last month and a half, we've got 30 plus hours in a car together. You don't want to see what the car smells like. Yeah. So we got a chance to talk about all this stuff, and when we were talking about some of this badge stuff, some of the things we thought of was a pulse monitor for your badge, so that when you guys are sitting there hacking away at or trying to defend machines and get these things working, that when your pulse rate goes up, it locks you out of the machine. And that would be really awesome. And how evil would that be? And you've got to have a Zen moment and calm down before it will let you log back in again.
Casey said no though, because killing you guys off throughout the game probably wasn't going to help your already frazzled nerves. When look, I'm dead now too.
Yeah. The problem we had when we started going down that road, we couldn't find an inexpensive, open, cheap, usable pulse rate monitor that we could use with something like an Arduino so that you guys can figure it out until about a month ago. So we had some issues there. Some of the other things we looked at was an IV pump.
This is Tim Rosenberg, who runs the competition. I saw him at a conference and said, I was talking to a friend of mine, and there's drugs for everything. Drugs that make you pee too much, drugs that make you don't pee enough, drugs that do this. Wouldn't it be awesome if you could implant status effects onto the players? And kind of falls into the same thing. Not only am I dead, but now I'm peeing too much.
Yeah.
So
the concept would be, the red team could make you pee too much, and now you have to get up and pee, and you have to take your hands off the keyboard for 10 minutes, that type of thing. And that was just kind of too evil too. The other one we thought about was a medication and supply dispensary.
So a little bit about this. If you need access to your networking equipment, okay, they're in a locked cabinet. Go ahead. You got to figure out how to get into them.
Yeah, you figure out how to get to the locked cabinet. And same sort of thing we see in hospitals all the time for both medication and supply dispensaries. Well, great, you want to do a procedure on a patient, and you need rubber gloves, you need sterile gloves. Well, they're in this locked cabinet that you have to provide some authentication to and tell what you're taking out and all that good stuff. So we rolled around these problems, and here's what really happened. Well, apparently Madonna is patient zero for zombies.
We like zombies.
We like zombies. Yeah. We spent 30 plus hours in the car last month listening to zombie novels on audiobook. So what really happened? We looked at the pulse monitor, the boards, we looked at the Zigbee stuff, and like Brad was talking about the badges last year, limited supply. The guy builds them in his garage. Shortly after CCDC last year, we actually were talking about it at CCDC last year. They had the tsunami and the Fukushima nuclear reactor issue. The gentleman that manufactures the boards isn't that far away and diverted all of his attention to providing open source radiation monitoring. So it's a little bit more difficult. He's now, almost a year later, back to being able to provide some of the boards. To that, if you guys are interested in some of those boards, I have a couple of them with me unassembled, and I'm certainly willing to sell them for you at what I paid for them. So they're already here if we've got them left over. There are backups for some of the stuff this week. Okay, that and we couldn't find any good pulse monitoring stuff.
And then the cost effectiveness of some of the other ideas, sounds cool on paper, but then when you actually have to put down green paper on that, it sometimes they don't line up. So.
Yeah, like the IV pumps. How are we going to do some of this stuff? We thought about doing Zigbee again, and now we run into the same problem of Zigbee and
Zigbee.
board
We want to put
availability.
like an LCD screen on it that would show now I've got to pee, or some icon for different status effects that the red team could get in and put you under. So.
Yeah. But with the MedStation dispensary, we came up with some good ideas about how we can do it cost effectively. We thought some great ways where we can bring it in-game, including your badges. We had lots of potential for shenanigans, both from Darren and I, and as Red Team. But some great ways that you guys can take something you know nothing about and, maybe make it better. So you guys can play shenanigans on Red Team as well.
Yeah, because one of the things I was thinking about from past years is kind of like made you want to think about, okay, well, I've got this Arduino board, but I really don't know how it works. And it seems like in years past, you guys have been really concerned about keeping your servers up and running and all your core services up and running. You haven't really had time to think, oh, now I've got to learn how to program for an Arduino to maybe change the code around and protect it or see what's going on. So we kind of wanted to change that up a little bit. We're still using, you'll see later, we're still using the Arduino platform, but we wanted you to be able to use some very standard methods for securing things and can apply that to this part of the game.
Yep. And we sort of designed all of this around some very standard implementation methods. Prior to my work at NWN, I spent 12 and a half years in IT in a mid-sized healthcare organization in Rhode Island. I went from starting there doing rack and stack of networking equipment up to their director of security and HIPAA deployment effort. So all of these things that we've sort of designed around the badges and some of the other stuff and how they're deployed are things that I dealt with on a day-to-day basis from a security perspective. Okay, so about your badge, which you guys are going to get, Casey, Friday morning. Okay, they are laser cut acrylic. We have blue ones for student teams. The team captains also have a piece of Space Invaders acrylic glued to the back of them so we can tell you guys apart. We got down to, what was it, day before yesterday, and we went, ooh, how are we going to identify team captains? I just happen to have all this laser cut acrylic stuff. So let's glue some stuff to them. It features a UPC barcode on the front. We originally tried to laser cut the UPC barcodes, and they were a disaster.
Didn't read so well.
Didn't read, period. We tried various paint, and that just made a mess, and my kitchen table's a disaster, and my daughter had fun painting too. The acrylic curled when we did the engraving for it, so it wouldn't actually glue to the badge flat, and so we ended up printing stickers and sticking them to the badges. But again, something we see all the time, and we'll see some of that. So each one of the barcodes is unique. They do feature a 12-digit identifier. So each one of the badges that's being given has a 12-digit identifier. Yeah, I know, I'm sorry, no electronic badges. We wanted to be a little different this year. But to go along with these laser cut acrylic badges, we did some great stuff. Well, we think great stuff. But you know, a tip of the hat to folks that have done electronic badges in the past, like Joe Grand for DEF CON. You never realize how difficult this stuff is until you try to go and do it for a lot of people.
Right. So it's really easy if you're doing like one, but then when you have to do 150 for all the teams, red team, everybody, it's not so easy.
Yeah, it doesn't scale when there's two guys and you're trying to keep the cost down for Casey, so that he can like get you food and bring in other folks and all that type of stuff. So credit where credit is due, but we took more of the lost approach on the badge itself and went a little bit more simple and focused a lot more on the game itself. Okay.
So the MedStations, they are purpose-built bread boxes. This is a picture of them here. Each team will have their own MedStation, and they'll be filled with candy. Real candy, like Snickers and stuff like that. Those are your pills.
Yeah,
so,
we spent $175 on candy at BJ's.
So you'll have candy in them. They're going to be located outside of the blue pit area because red team will be able to physically access them. Sort of.
Sort of.
They do lock, so the red team will have to figure out how to unlock them. They are, again, they're purpose-built bread boxes, as you can see here. So on the side, there will be a blue button. Press that blue button to enter scan mode, slide your UPC barcode underneath the scanner that you can see there in the corner, and if it checks out and you're the one that's allowed to be opening it, you'll hear it open. Open it up, take out what you want, and close it again, and it will lock.
Yep. So some suggestions real quick.
In a perfect world, it
will
lock.
Yeah. Yeah, in a perfect world, it will relock, right? Okay. So make your selection quickly. Don't stand there and be like, oh, whether I want a Snickers or a Butterfinger or some gummy worms or, you know, what the deal is. You know, open the box, reach in and grab something, and close the box because maybe some of them close on a timer. And then you're left with the lid open and the box is locked and it won't close again. So now you maybe have to find a way to be able to relock it, those types of things, and well, maybe that will enter some other complications. Okay. So you're going to be saying to, Larry, Darren, you gave us barcodes. This stuff is like ancient technology. Well, yeah, sure, absolutely. So, I didn't know, and I had to go Wikipedia it, but the first patent application for barcode technology was filed in 1949. Yeah, this is old stuff. We didn't start to see widespread adoption for UPC barcodes until somewhere around 1977 in grocery stores, but we had huge explosions of adoption of UPC barcodes in the 1980s. About 1981, the military decided that, hey, this is a really great idea. Let's use barcodes to do asset tracking. So they invented their own barcoding scheme, and now there's all sorts of barcoding schemes. I think I lost count at something over 30 different types of barcodes. So we've got all sorts of different formats now. And yes, we use them and we see them on pen tests all the time, and saw them in my stint in healthcare today for both healthcare applications and physical security. So we're giving you something that's actually in use in both of these today. As an example, my wife had to go have surgery this month. They gave me a visitor badge to stick to me to say, Larry's only allowed to go into the ambulatory surgery unit, ASU, with the date that I'm allowed there with my picture. And this is the one that's on the top left at Women Infants Hospital. There's a barcode on it. Yeah, the barcode is actually the number. It's the ID V101073. Yeah, it's the barcode representation of that. And you note that it's kind of hard to see, but it does say, please return this badge on discharge or exit.
You didn't return it, did you?
No. Next one down, my wife's bracelet from her procedure. You'll also note there are two different styles of barcodes on there. Okay. So barcode to patient tracking and those types of things.
And this, and this is what they use for medical dispensing, because they'll scan her thing, they'll scan her her medication order that came in, make sure everything lines up, so that way they're not giving her morphine when she should have amoxicillin or something like that.
Or something like that. And as far as physical security goes, are you guys familiar with the Occupy Wall Street movement? So the two badges on the right-hand side are from One Liberty Plaza. And for those of you who are familiar with the Occupy Wall Street movement, One Liberty Plaza is directly across the street from Zuccotti Park, where the protests were happening. And on 11/17, 2011, there was a big demonstration of thousands of Occupy Wall Street protesters, and New York's finest deployed like I've never seen before. Literally, sort of rioting in the streets, peaceful rioting. And I was actually working at One Liberty Plaza for a customer that day. And in order to gain access to the building, to get past the front desk, you had to present a badge to scan into the turnstile, which was using barcodes to allow me through the turnstile. During one of the most contentious periods right in that little area, the only thing that stood between me and some of these high-profile clients was a barcode. And plenty of people to start messing with stuff by the thousands who were rather irate. Okay. So a little bit about the scoring. Darren?
So patients, they tend to get cranky when their meds aren't available. They get stolen, or something has happened to your med station, and there's been a breach of it.
Yep. So it's in your best interest to make sure these work.
We put candy in them instead of real drugs. Sorry, we're fresh out of Adderall, but we do encourage you to partake in it really is just candy, and you can take what you want out of the box.
Don't worry, Casey paid for it.
Yep. And so you're allowed to do that, but your scoring is going to be based on how we feel you did with securing the med stations. Did Red Team come up and take all your medication out over and over and over and over and over again, and you really didn't do anything to stop it? That's your choice. But
and keep in mind, if you think about a med station in a hospital, there's rotating drawers, and they have every medication under the sun in these things, from sugar pills to Tylenol to morphine to all sorts of other controlled substances. And from time to time, the pharmacy checks and makes sure that all the stuff that's there is really there. A lot of the times it's somewhat of the honor system. You go to the MedStation, and I've seen it in practice. I need to dispense 2 morphine for Darren because he's having a little bit of pain today. And instead of taking 3 morphine out of the bottle, I take 3, and 1 goes in my pocket, and the other 2 go into the little cup that Darren takes with his apple juice. So there's definitely some accounting stuff that goes on.
So we would encourage you to, keep track of what you might have in your box. That's all we're going to say about that. Next.
Little clue. All right, so some rules. Yeah, this is a simulation. It's intended to be over 2 days. We've had to take some creative license with some of this stuff to make it work for the game. So please bear with us. And, well, some of it's going to be very frustrating for you guys. Believe me, believe Darren, it's all well within reason for things that we've seen doing pen tests. Very true to industry. Stuff that I've seen over the last 12 and a half years in healthcare as to the way they've been implemented and how folks have reacted to me when questions were posed. So all sorts of silliness there.
But we feel like with everything that we have, that you have enough information, or you have the ability to gather the information. The way that we're playing this is we are your outside vendor, and we have placed these devices in your environment, and they belong to you. You may not have ordered them.
But they
you may
belong
not
to
even
you.
really want them, but they're there because somebody did order them, the hospital decided to purchase them, and now you have to defend them.
And maybe
Which is,
support
like,
them.
like we said, is you oftentimes find that you go into a job or something like that, and there's something there that you don't like.
Yeah.
I don't like sonic wall firewalls, but sometimes you go into an environment, that's what's there.
Yep, and that's
You
what I'm
gotta
going to
deal
deal
with
with. Yep. Some of the other things is, well, yeah, they're yours. We confirmed with Casey this afternoon that, well, you guys from the student teams did not get electronic badges this year. You guys get to take your MedStations home.
And any candy that's left in them.
Yeah. So at least you
candy.
get something out of the deal. We had lots of fun with them. So yeah. So some rules, dues. Things might start getting a little wonky. We're here to help, but do keep in mind that we're acting as your vendor, so we're going to maybe give you some responses that we may have seen, and maybe we've been taking a lot of pills. So maybe you may find that a vendor doesn't really know all that much about their stuff, right, Brad? So, some of those types of things as well. But, definitely a do. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And most of all, have fun. That's why to me, this is what this is all about, having fun, okay? Some don'ts.
So we are, the candy obviously is in limited supply, so don't go in there and just bogart every Snickers that's in there and eat all your candy because you think it's really good. It is good, but
Yeah, we had a little bit.
Obviously that's limited, and it is part of the game. We are treating it as medication, even though it's candy. We just thought we'd add some that fun element, and that we really can't provide real drugs. So.
Oh. So yeah, don't eat it all on day one,
Your
right?
dealer didn't get busted?
No.
Oh, okay. Obviously,
Don't spoil your dinner.
yeah, you're gonna just spoil your dinner by eating all the candy. That's my old man spiel. The other thing too is these are made out of wood and plastic. So obviously, if you go in and do this, it will break. Please don't break them. Just play along with us.
Yeah, the real MedStations are made out of steel. These are not.
So
Real MedStations are thousands of dollars.
these
are not.
So the other thing too is don't go stealing someone else's candy. Obviously, hacking back is not allowed. At least it hasn't been, and I don't believe it is now. So don't go up because you think Team XYZ is ahead of you to go in and steal all their candy. Please don't do that.
Hacking is illegal. Red team are hackers.
Right.
They're supposed to do that.
And don't assume that Red Team doesn't have their own box.
Because potentially they're customers of this vendor. Maybe it's an insider from another hospital, or maybe they took a little trip to a dumpster somewhere and happened to acquire a non-working one that they decided to do what they wanted to with. Okay? So don't assume that your adversaries don't know what you have. Okay? All right, so a little bit about what we learned in this whole process. A little bit of Star Trek humor there. Okay? A little Star Trek zombie humor, no less.
Yeah, I guess we should have skipped the zombie stuff and gone right to nerdy stuff. I got the biggest laugh.
Yeah, no. Okay. So some of the stuff we learned, no matter how much time you budget for a project, it's never enough time, and stuff always gets done at the last minute. We were troubleshooting code and debugging hardware issues with the MedStations yesterday as late as 4 o'clock, much to our boss's disappointment.
He doesn't know.
Well, shh, he knows now. Some other suggestions: test everything when you're developing something like this. We got about a week out, and yeah, it's working. We're good to go. Yeah, let's go program some new code on this, and nothing works anymore. Maybe we should test this again. So once you've tested it and it works, test it again. So when it works, test it again. Drive it 400 plus miles this morning, and you can be sure we're going to be testing it again tomorrow. Oh, test, test, test. Some of the other things that we learned, we were incredibly frustrated through a lot of this project, making stuff work. I mean, we tried to laser cut barcodes and they didn't work, and what else are we going to do? However, at the end of that frustration, we had fun doing it. We learned a whole bunch as well. And quite honestly, there's a sense of accomplishment that we're here with a working product to have you guys play with and get hacked because we made it that way. And well, this is going to be a whole lot of fun. So, and it's definitely okay to fail as long as you learn from your failures. So for those of you who come on to do this again another year, if you don't get first place, great. Come on back next year and learn from the mistakes you made this year. And quite honestly, learn from the mistakes you make here when you go into your real job. Okay? All right, so with that, and believe it or not, we're not going to go over time, are we, Casey? Well, pretty good. Not bad for writing the presentation in the truck ride down here. So, thanks. You can find us on Twitter, myself at Hacks of the Matrix, and Darren at Rasmus21, and our ham radio call signs if you really want to go stalk our houses, that type of stuff. So yeah, we're gonna have fun, and you'll see us wearing these snazzy lab coats over the next couple of days. Okay. Any questions that we can answer?
Any questions? Any questions? No questions?
You're going to provide extra barcode readers for both blue and red.
Oh, there are limited number of barcode readers in various configurations, Mr. Dumpster Diver. Yes, so there are some barcode readers available. Some of them, one of them I can guarantee will need some assistance from us, and one of those we don't want to let it go because it was really expensive. The other one I actually found in the trash and it works, so cool, have at it. If I lose it, I lose it, no big deal. Some of those will be absolutely available for floating around for whoever needs to use them, and we'll make sure that nobody gets their time monopolized, or we'll kick you in the teeth. How's that? Okay. Any other questions? Yes?
What format UPC will we be using?
I'm sorry?
What format UPC?
What format UPC? UPC, I think it's A. If you grab me tomorrow, I can definitely let you know. There's a couple of different formats, you're right. I think it's UPC-A. Okay, any others? Excellent question to your vendor. What barcode formats are you using? Great. Okay. Any others? Going once, going twice. Brad, another one, yes?
Yeah, is there going to be a printer available for...
I personally don't have one, but you guys are enterprising guys.
Specifically for printing barcodes?
I don't personally have one. Yeah, your vendor team does not have one, so you may need to find some ways around that. Okay.
You can hand draw them, right?
Yeah, you could hand draw them.
I thought you said you were that good. You can hand draw UPC codes.
Yeah.
What's that?
That's why I've got these computers, handwriting
That's why we got into computers. The handwriting's terrible. Good, good. All right, any other questions? Going once, going twice. Sold to the man in the blue suit.
So thanks again to Casey for letting us do this again for the third year. So